Well, his American Indian name means one who helps people throughout the land. However, 1 year after U.S. President Barack Obama held the first Native American tribal conference in nearly 2 decades, some are questioning his commitment toward the country's most impoverished people. Obama wrapped up the second Native conference, leaving out a number of issues relating to Native Americans, including the future of activist Leonard Peltier and corruption within tribal governments. RT's Jehan Hafiz has the story.
I said that so long as I held this office, never again would Native Americans be forgotten or ignored.
Lofty promises yet again from U.S. President Barack Obama to a people who have historically been overlooked and abused by the U.S. government. Last year, President Obama pledged a new chapter for Native Americans, signing the Tribal Law and Order Act and mandating 90 days for government agencies to implement serious reforms toward Indian country. But 1 year later, little has changed on the Mattaponi Indian Reservation in Virginia. Like the majority of America's indigenous population, the Mattaponi have been tucked away to the confines of an Indian reservation. In the shadows of their ceremonial ground, the Mattaponi people have lived on this land for centuries. And what was once theirs, meaning 350,000 acres of land, has now been reduced to just over 100 acres. And the people here do what they can, the best they can, to sustain themselves, their land, and their cultural identity. Native Americans rank the highest in unemployment and poverty rates, infant mortality and life expectancy rates. Indian reservations in the Midwest are plagued by alcoholism, domestic violence, and teen suicide, contributing to an epidemic of hopelessness within America's indigenous population, and a disillusionment with both the federal and tribal leadership. It's where ordinary people like Sharon Eagleson, founder of the NGO Spirit Rising, step in. Helping indigenous people with their homes, food, and setting up their businesses.
We do it grassroots. We do it more with humanity.
At times, the prejudice towards natives is reflected in what's donated to them.
Sometimes we've been given old meat, yet people gave us new Bibles along with the old meat.
Like many natives on the reservation, Robert Gockenbacher, a U.S. veteran, has been receiving help from Spirit Rising. His roof has caved in, and he hasn't had running water for over a year. Asked whether he receives help from the federal or tribal government.
No, it's pretty much you're on your own here.
Off camera, Robert was much more political. The last time American Indians were radicalized through their political activism, over 60 natives were mysteriously murdered. Leonard Peltier was sentenced to 2 life terms in prison for a crime many insist he did not commit.
We want Obama to know that we're not going away.
These people are rallying for his freedom outside the tribal conference. This native man talks about life on the reservation.
The reservations are essentially prison camps. That's how they started, and that's how they remain, to keep people secluded away from the mainstream. We're forgotten, out of sight, out of mind.
So we're making progress. We're moving forward. And what I hope is that we are seeing a turning point in the relationship between our nations.
A relationship shattered by broken treaties and empty promises for the country's first people. Jehan Hafiz, RT, the Mattaponi Indian Reservation, Virginia.